Live right now.
Hi, welcome to Share the Hope. I have a story to tell you, and it's concerning my dad. My dad, Gerald Osborne. He was a veteran of World War II. He went over to Saarland, Germany, as a troop. He was a foot soldier in the army. He was stationed in Fort Carson, and after that, he was shipped over to Germany to fight against Hitler. His troops' job was to go in and evacuate the towns in case German soldiers were hiding out. Dad entered one town that changed his life forever. He was marching in a straight line down the middle of the town. They would enter through doors, windows, and any opening to get in the houses and buildings. My dad was close to the back of the line when he did this evacuation. They would break broken glass. He entered a window with broken glass. As he entered the house, he stepped down on a three-legged table. That three-legged table was a life changer. As he stepped down, there was a IUD underneath, a bomb. He was blown across the room and hit the wall. He passed out, not knowing what injuries he got. Another soldier went back to check on Dad, and my dad was non-responsive. He shook him several times, but with no luck. The three-legged table had a bomb underneath it, and it literally blew him across the room. Dad landed right on it. The other soldiers climbed out of the window, and he caught up with his troop. He left Dad as dead. Dad had a lot of strength and energy, and he finally woke up and found enough energy to climb out of the same window that he was blown up on. He fell out of the window. He found the strength to get up and try to get to his troops, but he kept falling. He began to yell very loud. Luckily, the last soldier turned around to see my dad on the ground. They went back and picked Dad up. He sustained serious injuries. He lost his right leg from the knee down. His other leg was blown out in the back. He lost his hearing, both sides. The ears, his ears were blown out from the actual explosion. He had a lot of superficial wounds. They carried Dad back to the troops. The medics placed him on a plane and sent him to London, England, where Dad stayed several months recuperating with his injuries. My mom received notice from the army that Dad was tragically killed in war. This letter, Mom remembered people coming to the door of my mom's house and delivering this letter to her, and she began to cry because her loved one was obviously gone, and this really impacted her a lot. They called him missing in action because they couldn't find the body at first. My mom was forced to care for her oldest daughter and my mom's sister, his oldest daughter, and she was my sister. My dad did crafts in the hospital. He made a beautiful beaded basket. They fit him with an artificial leg several times to make sure they had the right one. Dad was having fathom pains from the loss of the leg, where what fathom pains is pains coming from the legs, assuming the leg was there. The other leg was healing, but not very fast, so Dad was really impacted by both legs. He had to learn to walk all over. He used his wooden leg. It was a long time learning to walk all over again. They healed his wounds. He got hearing aids for him. They fit him for specifications. Eventually, my mom was notified Dad was okay. Mom got to see Dad, and she was so excited to see him. And his oldest daughter was excited. He came back to the States. He actually learned that he received several accommodations. The one that he really got was the Purple Heart and other recognitions for what he did. He found work in factories. He coached a men's baseball team, the Merchants. He got hired over at Ohio State Reformatory. And by the way, I do have on my other channels, I did a documentary on the Ohio State Reformatory because that's where my dad worked. So he actually went to work. It was like he went to work at Ohio State Reformatory where he was a guard there and a captain of the deputy's office. They didn't ask him about his injuries. So when he was hired in at OSR, he was hired as though he was okay. They didn't check to see that he had a wooden leg. Normally they wouldn't have hired him, but he wanted the job and they needed someone, so he was the man for the job. They hired him and he spent over 30 years employed by the state. He was a strong-willed person who never gave up, never gave up. He taught his kids to be strong-willed, and that's me. I'm one of them, one of 3. He had 3 children, and his wife was a housewife who worked several odd jobs. Dad got into raising horses. My sister and brother would show the horses at various fairs. My mom sewed their show outfits and their decorations for their horses. They were very busy with this event. Dad and Mom raised cattle, chickens, pets, and other animals. They were forced to downsize their animals due to the allergies that their youngest daughter had. They were very busy with all their tasks that they did with their family. Dad took pride in his family, and he spent many hours doing various things. He wasn't one to say, "I'm sorry." He was one that would go out and work in the woods, cutting trees down, and he never asked for help. But if you volunteered, I actually was one of the ones that I did a lot of things for him. We actually got hay, and we actually unloaded hay into our barns for our animals. And Dad was the one that was basically going out and getting the hay. Dad was my hero and will always be my hero, and I really look up to him. So if you have a parent or a relative that served in the Army, and it just so happens my dad sacrificed his health for the safety of his family. Hitler was defeated, and Dad was a part of that, and I take pride in the fact that Dad never gave up. He never gave up. He never surrendered. What's ironic, and this is something to think about, I wanted some kitties for the farm, and I asked for Dad if I could have a cat, and he said, no, you can never have a cat. And I found out later on why. Stray cats that were hungry over in Germany would literally sneak into the what do you call those things? The pits where the soldiers were, and they literally would come in for the food because they were starving, and they couldn't have that because they thought they were Germans coming in to get into the pits with them. So like I said, honor your family, especially with soldiers, veterans. People don't realize what veterans give to this country. I'm proud to be an American because of my dad. So, bada bing, bada boom. See ya.